Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing tabletop games with friends and families can create. Today we will be blowing out a candle, even though it's nobody's birthday, and just making wishes. So yes, we're talking about our Wishlist Games. But before we get to that, we will be talking about games we played recently. And let's start off with throwing somebody under the bus. How about Peter?
You just throw me right there under the bus for sure. You're taking me totally off guard. So I think I've talked about a lot of the games that I've played. But I think the one that I didn't talk about last time that I played recently and really enjoyed, we've talked a little bit about in the last couple of episodes, and that is Flamecraft. I did get a chance to get it to the table with a couple of my friends, actually with my wife and a friend of ours. And we really, really enjoyed the game. If you've not played it or you've not heard anything about it, it is I would almost consider it kind of like a cozy game, but at the same time, there can be a little bit of gotcha, but not a whole lot. At least not in the game, not in the game that I played of it. I'm sure if I play James and Nathan, there's going to be tons of gotcha. But so far, the idea is that you're playing a game in a small town with that has these little magical dragons that help make everything that much better. And you start off doing some worker placement, going to these different locations. The board is this awesome neoprene mat that comes with it with the game, which is a really great idea. I love that. And there are slots for new stores and shops to be placed throughout the game. And so that's going to happen. There's going to be more shops as a shop fills up with the total, I think it's of 3 artisan dragons. Once it's got 3, then it's kind of like an overflow. And so you get a new shop to start adding dragons to. And so the more artisan dragons that are in each shop, the more things that will happen when you visit that shop. So you're gaining extra resources, you're doing more cool abilities. But that's pretty much it. So you're gonna place your dragon for your worker, and all of a sudden all these resources are going to come pouring out of this shop, and you're going to use those to fulfill tasks and jobs. And so you're going to be gaining points. It's really nice. I like the art. We talked about that in one of our previous episodes, that I really like the art of this game. It is not fully representative of that artist's style. I can't remember her name right now off the top of my head. But they pulled her in, and so this was like some kind of like cutesy Studio Ghibli-ish art that I think works really well for the game. There we go. James got the cover there for us. And that illustrator does amazing fantasy art. And so we talked about, art in games, and I just absolutely love her art. So like I've kind of done a deep dive looking through some of her other stuff. So it's a really fun game. I'm looking forward to playing. I think it can play up to 7. And I want to see what it's like with a huge table. It was fun at 3. I think it would probably be okay at 2. But I feel like it could be even cooler at a full table. And so I'm looking forward to getting a chance to play it with more people. And we have a copy. So it's one of those, like, this would have been making my wish list today, except I already have it. So yay. That was me though. I'm going to then pass the torch on to John.
Oh, real quick.
Oh yeah.
It's Sandra Tang.
Sandra Tang. Thank you.
It plays up to 5 players. Amazing game. I agree with you.
Oh, only 5. Okay.
It's still big player count for that game.
Yeah.
And Nathan, don't listen to him. Nonsense. Art is awesome on it.
I know. I don't listen to Nathan when it comes to art. He only likes the brooding, dark stuff. It's fine.
He's like Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
It needs to be gray and black, and that's it. All right. Continue.
John, you are up. What have you been playing?
Well, I got to play actually. It's kind of an opener for board games last week. Played a full game of it, and I might have won handedly. I think I had 5 points, and the closest was 3 of the out of the 8 of us that was playing. Thing is, I missed a question, that I should have gotten, and it was just because it's one of those goofy technicalities. It was sure Naruto wasn't born with the fox spirit, but he got it the day he was born, like within an hour. That kind of counts.
Oh, wait. You didn't get that?
I didn't hear it because like you started doing the question. I missed that. I was trying to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't like, yeah, because it was at the very beginning of the statement. So it was like the first thing he said, and I didn't catch that. That was what the problem was. I picked out something else that's kind of a problem, but I'm gonna write to them. It's like, yeah, this is wrong.
Oh yeah, that is wrong. What
Isn't
was
that
the name
the
of the
point
game?
of the game?
Yeah,
To be pedantic and like something that's
Yeah, so you
really
can't get
trivial.
them wrong. That's perfect. What was the name of that game again?
Actually.
Yeah. That looks awesome.
It is a lot of fun. Like it's the perfect kind of like party trivia game because it only goes like 10 questions, and then it ends. So you don't have like the things that you get with like a lot of those trivia games where you just get stuck in a loop trying to get one thing to happen. No, it has a set thing, and the shiny questions were neat. I managed stumbling into somehow getting the all the question completely right for the Harry Potter one, and I knew nothing about Harry Potter.
Oh, seriously? You're just like, yeah.
I know a little bit.
It was butterbeer.
Yeah, there's a guy named Harry Potter, So like, yeah, there was like some question involving the 4 dragons that he fought, that they fought in the whatever goblet or something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, that dragon sounds like that would fight Harry. That one, that would fight, whoever the other 3 people were. I can't even remember them now. That's how much I retain Harry Potter. So, but yep, I managed to stumble into that one. That kind of made up for me missing the Naruto one, I guess, that I should have gotten. The Legend of Zelda one that popped up though, yeah, I had that one. Like, I interrupted in the middle of that one. I was like, yeah, no, this is what's wrong.
So have you watched all the Naruto, like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I have too, but I didn't get into Boruto because it's not good.
Yeah, I tried watching a little bit of that because I figured my nephew might start in it. Like he's into like My Hero Academia now.
That one's not bad if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen a good amount of it. Yeah. I also introduced him to One Punch Man.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one gets a little old, but it's good.
Got a killer theme song though.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, there's that. Then I played Mosaic, which is I think, I don't know if it's shipped yet. I know it was a Kickstarter game. But
yeah,
I played
deluxe Kickstarter version.
Yeah, I played it online with one of my buddies who hasn't shown up for him yet, but yeah, he has it on the way. So yeah, that was played that last week. There was some other big game that took forever, but I think I blocked it from my memory. So
for Mosaic, I haven't actually played that game. What's the idea of it?
So that one is kind of or what's that? Yeah, it's kind of like area control, but that's not the main way of getting points, but it's one way of getting points. It has you can build wonders. If I'm remembering right, which one let me look at it here, make sure that I'm remembering the correct one, because I know I played Mosaic. And yeah, so yeah, there's it's kind of Mediterranean area is the map, and yeah, so you're building cities, and you get different resources. So it's kind of a race for points, and then you also can, one of the things you can do is there's like 3 different scorings that can happen. So yeah, you're racing for these achievements, and there's different achievements that are in there every time. Like first person to have 15 production and ideas, things like that. I am wanting to actually make sure now, because now I'm trying to remember if I am mixing them or not here.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
But I mean, the deluxe version for Mosaic that comes from the Kickstarter,
Yep,
just crazy.
Yeah, no, that was actually that was the one I played in person. Now I'm thinking on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it basically we wound up pitting a ton of like 5 different wonders in one area, and I
lost your audio.
lost audio.
I can hear you now.
All right, yeah.
Unless I lost your audio. One of the two.
It popped up with some error message, and it was like, all right, it's fine now. But yeah, so it was, there was kind of the race conditions, because there's 3 different sets of tiles, and if 2 of those tiles run out, then the game ends. Or if you get 3 scoring cards, which are on the 4 different main action decks. So it's kind of, you don't know when it's going to pop up in those. So, based on some of the actions you're doing, like taking technology and everything else, they also give you icons that you then use for, securing some of the other point cards, that are out there. So there's like the achievement based ones, which are, certain level and act things that you do. And then the other ones are kind of race for first person to get 6 of this icon. And there's one for each of those. And each of those gives you a bonus.
Okay.
And then I wound up taking the government that gave me bonus points for every one of those tiles that I got. Those point scoring tiles. So whenever scoring happened, I got extra bonus points for that.
That's cool. It's nice that it has multiple strategies.
Yeah. I mean, it was first time playing it, and I was 10 off the guy who, owned the game and had already played it twice. So
yeah, it's always good. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Dan. Dan, what have you been playing?
All right. I'll only mention one game here. I got to the table new acquisition, Skymines. Skymines, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is the recent retheme / redesign of Alexander Fisher of his older title, Mombasa. There were obvious problems with the Mombasa in the fact that it took place in Africa, and there was closely tied to the historic slavery that took place there. So now we're just like in space instead, which is a lot easier to stomach, that's for sure. I've only played Skymines once, and back in the day, I only played Mombasa like maybe 2 or 3 times on Tabletop Simulator. So, but my initial impression is that they are at their core basically the same game. They seem to have the same mechanics. There may be 1 or 2 small things that are different in Skymines that weren't in Mombasa. I can't tell because I don't remember that clearly. But one thing that Skymines does have going for it is it has a solo bot, which you can actually add to an X player game to make it feel like an X+1 player game, which is pretty useful for 2-player, or at least I hope it's useful for 2-player. We haven't tried it yet. And then there's basically 4 different ways to play the game. There's like some modules that you can pull in and out. And there's like one of the modules is the back half of the board, which is like an asteroid belt instead of a planet. So there's like new mechanics there. And like one of the modules introduces a hazard card into the middle of that asteroid belt, which, someone has to deal with, or else bad things will happen to all players at the end of the game. And some other like cool quips. Otherwise it's Mombasa, so like it's a stock manipulation game basically, where you're moving up 4 different tracks that represent companies. The higher you go on these tracks, the more shares you have, and then you're also manipulating these companies' tokens on the central map. The more tokens a company has on the map, the more their shares are worth per share. So I don't know, Ken had like an obscene number of points off of shares at the end of the game because he like maxed the track of one company and then got an extra share on on the cards, there's a hand building mechanism as well. You spend resources to add cards to your hand, a la Concordia. But it's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to delving into it deeper. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, I
Alright.
definitely like those kind of like stock, games
Ah.
because there's always a little messing around you can always do. Like
Have any of
kind
you played any 18xx games?
I have one buddy that's like most of what he plays. Like for a while there, like every time we were playing a new one. So
Yeah, there's so many of them too. All look horrible, but
yeah.
play good. So, but okay. So what has Nathan been playing?
So, I recently acquired 3 of the things that would otherwise have been on my wish list. I've gotten one of them to the table. 3 games I acquired recently was the expansion for Dune Imperium. The most recent one, which is called, my brain is farting. It's not what it's called.
Immortality.
Immortality. Yeah.
Dune Imperium Immortality. Not brain farting. Dune Imperium brain farting.
We would still buy it if it was brain farting. So
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
And actually wouldn't be too far off the theme. I don't know. Anyways, I also got Wingspan Asia, but the one that I did get to the tables already is Merchant's Cove. Now, Merchant's Cove was one that the rest of this group had talked about a lot and seemed to really enjoy, and so it got me excited to try it out. So I did pick it up, and it's basically a trading game with asymmetric factions, and I've only gotten 2 of the factions. I've only got to play 2 of the factions myself, and I do really enjoy it. I've played the Chronomancers first, which is definitely one of the trickier factions. I played it once and did all right. The second time I played it, I beat the second place player by 100 points.
That's gonna be me next time we play. Next time it's gonna be Revenge of the Chronomancer. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I think I ended up with 250 points or 260 points at the end. So I was really happy with how that game came out. After that, I played The Alchemist, which I've only played once. I did not enjoy The Alchemist as much because that's one you're just kind of manipulating marbles, and it seems
Yeah, it's like a potion explosion style.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems a little more random and you have a little less control over it. But again, I've only played that particular faction once, and if it's anything like a Chronomancer, the second time I played it might be drastically different.
I think that game definitely does reward knowing how that faction works perfectly.
Right.
So yeah, probably second time you play it, you'll be like, I'm crushing it.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested in trying out the Blacksmith because that seems like the most straightforward.
That's the one I think Peter did.
Yeah.
Yep. And it won. It won by 1 point.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
we're not talking about that.
Oh no, we are. We just did.
It is recorded. For all time.
Magic of editing.
Just by 1? That's pathetic.
Yeah, that's been the thing. Yep. He beat me in Blood Rage by 1. It was like a like horrible chain of by 1s.
So that's a game I've been playing. What have you been playing, James?
Okay, we're gonna leave Evan to last, apparently. Poor
Yeah.
Evan. So one of the games that I didn't hear anything about previously at all. I never even knew they existed. But I got them in, and it's our Circadians. I got Circadians First Light and Circadian Chaos Order. They're 2 different games, but they're based in a circadian, so their own sort of little universe, where there's like 5 or 6 different factions of beings from different planets. In Circadian First Light, you are all playing as the Circadians on a home planet, and you are trying to be basically a dirtbag. So whoever's the best dirtbag by the end of the game wins. Really tight mechanisms. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to negotiate with the indigenous population, take their resources, make them think you're good. and the person that's best at that will win. It's really cool, really tight, really fun game. And I think the mechanisms on it were amazing. I really liked how well they integrated them with the game itself. Now, Circadian Chaos Order is a completely different one. So in First Light, you are trying to be ambassadors. You're not trying to really cause fights. You're trying to make them, give you what you want and make them your friends, sort of thing. Well, that backfires eventually because you're not really doing even trades or anything. And in Circadian Chaos Order, you're all fighting. So you're all fighting, you're all killing each other, and you're all trying to race to get these artifacts, because if you get all these artifacts, you'll be the most powerful faction. And in that game has a couple dynamics that are really cool to it. It's an area majority control game. If you ever control all the artifacts, you immediately win. Also, if your fame ever goes to its highest limit, you win too. But your fame level is different for every single faction. How you get fame is different for every single faction. They're all asymmetric. So that's really cool, because I might get fame because I am the AI by killing killing any biological being. So if I kill fighters, I will gain fame because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a robot. I'm Terminator taking over the world. The humans are trying to do it through upgrading and getting better technology on their, I think they're called attributes. So they're trying to upgrade them. So they only need to do 4 of them and they win the game. But the AI needs to kill like so many people to be able to get to theirs. So they all have their thing. If you hit that, you immediately win. The area control thing is really good because it gets more and more tense as the game goes by, because at the end of every round, there's each of these locations where the artifacts are numbered 1 through 6. Round 1 is going to go off. Does anyone control that? If they do, they gain that artifact and put it, or relic, and they put it on their board and they unlock some stuff and they get some cool stuff. If no one controls it, it goes away. So then there's only 5 left. After the second round, there's only going to be 4 left, and so on. In the 6th round, if you actually make it to the 6th round, there's only 1 spot on the entire board that if you have control of it, you win. So I really like how the areas that you have to control gets smaller as the game goes by instead of larger. I think that was a really cool idea, and it actually made the game like more engaging as the rounds went by. So I really like both of those. They're really solid games, and this is actually the 2nd edition of both of them. And I didn't even know there was a 1st edition. So I thought Evan would really like First Light, so that went to him. So hopefully he'll like it. I think it's a cool game. And the last game I want to talk about is really quick. I'll probably talk about a button shy game every episode, but this one's Sprawlopolis. Button shy games are 18 card games. That's it. That's all that's in it. And in Sprawlopolis, you basically cooperatively work together to make the best metropolis. And you would think that would be easy. It is not. You're flipping over these cards. You can overlay these cards, and you're trying to meet the different scoring objectives on the top, and trying not to create too many roads, because roads are negative points. Very engaging game, very strategic game. Doesn't sound like it would be different every single time, but it's a different puzzle every single time. And I like Sprawlopolis. And those are my 3. So Evan, what do you think?
As we save the best and the most beautiful person for last.
Wait, I'm not
yes,
again.
yeah.
So the only game I really got to the table, I actually talked about last week, but I'll talk about it a little bit more, is Sagrada. So my wife and I, we got to play that. So Sagrada, it's a dice drafting, dice placement game. You're working as a glass maker, working to make the most beautiful stained glass window possible. You select your pattern, and then you're limited on placement of your die. You can only put certain colors in certain spots. You can put certain numbers in only certain spots, and you can never have the same color or the same number touching adjacent spots. Now you'll have certain tools that you can use that can help you break certain rules in the game. But that's basically it in a nutshell. It's a real simple game to learn and play. Very beautiful game. We can, I think we busted out the last game in probably like 40 minutes, 45 minutes with just the two of us. And it went a little bit longer than we really expected and a lot harder than we expected, just because our dice drafting was very terrible and we kept on drawing the same color over and over again. So it made it really hard. There was a couple of turns that we sat just staring at our work going, I can't use any of this. But it was really great. We really enjoyed playing together. So it's a really nice, simple 2-player game. But yeah, that's what I got to the table.
It's a very good looking game too. When you put it together, all that little
Like
colors
me,
and
yeah, I
stuff.
know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I don't know. I started. I think I played it out. I think, but it's not a bad game. No, it's good. So now we're going to talk about our wish list games that we really think that are worth it and they're amazing, but we don't have. But it's something we want to look forward to the future of playing. Now, you didn't know it, but we're doing a snake draft apparently. So that means Evan gets to go first. Ha ha ha.
Well, okay. So number one game here that is going to be in my wish list game. It is a wish list to have, but not to play. It's just to have into the collection. And that is going to be
stare at it.
And once I tell you what game it is, you will know exactly why I will never want to play it. That is to have a copy of Campaign for North Africa.
Why are you not going to play it? You just happen to have a table
very
dedicated
interesting.
for it.
Yeah, very interesting.
Ever.
So
Only
for
a
those
decade or two.
Is this bragging rights only? I mean,
I think it's gonna probably sit there next to my copy of Shadows over Camelot to probably never be played, but just to say I have it.
Yeah, I don't know. Shadows of a Camelot's old. Campaign.
Well, this is quite old too.
But yeah.
But so those of you that aren't familiar with it, so it is a chit game that does the entire North African campaign from World War II. The gameplay estimate is on BGG 60,000 hours. So approximately 50 days nonstop of play. The game itself is designed as a pure simulation, down to your Italian troops need extra water to boil their pasta. You have to take in gas evaporation for your troops due to heat and all sorts of complete and utter nonsense. The game was actually never play tested fully, and the designer says that if you find a flaw in the game, play the game a second time and then let us know.
So, if I made a 6,000 hour game, I'd be like, yeah, you have to play it twice to really see that there's a problem.
Yeah. So the game, it is nigh really possible to play. Very, very few people have completed the actual campaign of it. I would love to just have a copy of it to say, behold, for I have this game. Plus also copies of it go for about $400 too. So that's probably another reason why I don't own it.
Yeah, that'd be a good reason.
Yeah.
So I have a much shorter game on my wish list. Doesn't take nearly as long, but also equally more awesome because I'll actually play it. And I really interested in Innis, and the title's Innis, Seasons of Innis expansion. And this one will give a 5th player to the game. And I really like Innis as a game. It's a really tense game where you have multiple different ways that you can win, but you have to declare that you can win before the end of the round in order to win. And people can take that away from you. And there's a really cool hand management in the game for playing your actions out. And those actions are actually drafted at the beginning of every round. Really awesome game, really fun game, not doing it justice. But I really wanted to be able to play with 5 players. It also adds a little module to it too, which adds another form of victory if you wanted from it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to really add that in, but we'll see. Maybe if I'm a 5th player count, I need to, and that's some sort of seasons wheel thing that it runs. And it also has, what else did it have with it? It had new territories. So in this, every single territory has an ability. So these new territories are nice because you get to shuffle them in and you get more things that can come out with different abilities that you can pick up. So that was mine. I just really loved our play of Innis. I thought it was a really fun game. I've played it twice now. I will play it anytime anyone asks. And yeah, that's basically it. Mine.
It's a good game. However, negative points because they couldn't actually think of a expansion title.
Yeah, pretty much is like Innis, Seasons of Innis. I'm like,
I heard you like Innis, so we put more Innis in your Innis.
That's almost as good as Tarji. Tarji's expansion is expansion. So it's expansion, the expansion. Okay.
People got paid for that.
They got paid for that. We should do an episode. I should just do like, are these expansions real? And we should have a silly game on that. Like, is this expansion real?
Is that the silly game we're playing later here?
No, not. I have to. There's some bad named expansions. I'll have to compile that and we'll play one. But all right. So Nathan, what is your wish list game?
So I think I'm gonna beat everybody to the punch on this because I'm sure it's on most of your lists, and that's Shiver Me Timbers.
It's not on mine.
Well, yeah,
Not mine.
you're one of the few people in the world that actually has a copy of this game. It's an amazing game that, you know, went on Kickstarter, has never made it to retail, doesn't sound like it'll go back on Kickstarter. Who knows? We'll see. I'm hoping someday it'll become available again, but right now it's pretty unavailable.
I've talked to him a couple times. He was working on an expansion, but I don't know. We'll see. I really think he needs to do it. I think it's an amazing game. So
Yeah. This is a super epic pirate game where it's completely sandbox. You have some like quests that are like a little bit like kind of your goals, but you don't necessarily have to go for those goals to win the game. You can get points for anything. You can trade. You can go try to sink ships. You can go try to find a wife or a husband or whatever you're interested in. You go fight a Kraken, or you can just do missions for the governor. It's like anything you want to do, basically, you can do in this game and just have fun doing what you want.
Side note, Nathan, if you want to learn and speak fluid German, there's a copy on BGG for sale.
in German.
German edition.
I mean, I'm not anywhere near fluent, but I don't think there's that much.
It's only
language
Oh, there's a
madness
lot
in
of
the game.
text on the quests.
99
Yeah.
euro.
Well, not a lot, but there's some. 99 euros. So that's not bad at all. But I don't know. Hopefully he's gonna do the expansion. I should message him again and see where he's at with that.
Just see if he has extra copies laying around for us.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool too. We can help promote his game because it's amazing.
I would bring it to every convention I go to.
Yeah. I think I played it at our local CosCon and everyone liked it. So
It was a lot of fun.
all right, so that means Dan is up. Dan, what is your wish list game?
All right. The first game I'll mention this evening is called Boon Lake. Boon Lake is a pretty
looks so
looking
good.
game. It's set in the American West. It's about farming, and of course, it's an engine building game because it's an Alexander Fisher title. I don't know too much else about this game. Like I was sold when I saw the art, realized it included some engine building, and it was by my favorite designer. Like that was enough. Oh, and Nathan is over there taunting me with a copy. But yeah, the Boon Lake.
Yeah, I'm really interested in playing that. Have you cracked that open yet, Nathan?
Nope, I've recorded an unboxing, but I have not got it to the table yet.
Oh, that's right. We do have an unboxing for that. Yeah. Okay, so that means, yeah, John, you're up.
I've been pondering what it is that I want, because you know what, I just usually just if I want something, I wind up going and getting it eventually. So I was kind of going over what it is out there that I haven't gotten my hands on yet, and just have to go with something that isn't really out yet. And it's kind of more for, this is a lighter game. It's The Shivers. I saw it at PAX Unplugged, and you know what, it's kind of like a light RPG kind of. The gameplay is pretty simple. But I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's kind of like a pop-up game that it plays kind of like an escape room. One person is the kind of the game master. They don't really win or lose. They're there to kind of just facilitate the game. And I have, some, gaming groups, circle friends, they kind of go more for the co-op friendly games. And, I felt like this would be a great one to bring to the table for them. Between, the aesthetics and, the kind of unique gameplay with it.
It's not like a pop-up game. It is
It-
literally a pop-up game. I think the idea is really, really cool. I'm interested in if that translates into a good game.
Yeah.
It looks really, really nice. And I really like that idea of the pop-up book, because I had them when I was kids, and you have all those intricate ones, and it looks really, really cool. So if you end up getting it, I'm really interested to know what your thoughts are on it.
I'll definitely share them. Yeah, I mean, if, I know, like, at least kind of like the pop-up elements, that all works really well, because I mean, I saw it in person. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing it, because I just kind of, if nothing else, like, having that like attention to detail and kind of going for that, kind of niche things. Like I'm a sucker for going in for that. That and like custom meeples.
Custom meeples, yeah. I need to get the ones for Lords of Waterdeep. I think that's really cool. Instead of having cubes, cubes are dumb. Like, I collected cubes, turn them in.
Well, this wasn't on my radar, but it looks really nice, and now I'm gonna have to look out for it.
Yeah, I think it has the potential of being a really cool game. But
yeah, I mean, that's why I like going around, PAX Unplugged and like those conventions like that, because this would never been on my radar if I hadn't seen it in person.
Next time you go, we need to have you take a ton of pictures, just a ton of pictures. I can put them all up. But all right, so Peter, what is your wishiest wished game?
So I was thinking about what I was going to put on my list, and I was looking at last year's list, and I had made it kind of my goal this year to get all of my, like, some of my top 10 games that I didn't own yet, and be like, by the end of this year, I wanted to have all of them. It's not the end of the year yet, but I'm not quite there. I've got one left. And so that is the first game I'm going to mention on my wish list, because I want to round out that top 10 list, and that is Raiders of the North Sea. So it still was on my top 10 list this last year, and so it is what I think is a really, really fun Viking themed worker placement game that I think plays really well at all of its player counts. It can play up to 4, at the lowest count 2. I think it plays great with all of those player counts. Obviously, I always enjoy having more people at the table, but I think it plays really well at all those counts. And so, the idea being that you're going to start off the game doing some worker placement, and there's 2 halves of the board. You're going to place your workers on the bottom half of the board to begin with, and then eventually build up with some cards a ship full of raiders, and you're going to send them to the upper half of the board to start raiding these villages and harbors and monasteries and eventually fortresses. I really enjoy the mechanic that as the farther you go up, you're starting to get specific colored workers, and those workers can only go to certain locations. So eventually you might wish to still be back on the bottom half of the board with your black meeples, but you're only gaining gray and white meeples, and you just can't go there anymore, and you're forced to continue to go up to the northern half of the board. I found that to be a really fun and interesting mechanic. the fact that you have some of your Vikings are, meant to die so that you gain benefits, or they're meant to get you some end game scoring, so you don't want them to die. But if you go to certain areas, you're going to get Valkyrie points, which means one of your raiders has to die. So I felt like there was a lot going on with it. I really enjoy it. I have not yet played with any of the expansions for it, so I don't actually know how I would feel about those, though they look good. And I think there's at least 2 expansions. So I would eventually like to play with those, but I just want to get the base game. So that is, for right now, that is one of the top ones in my wish list for right now. Really fun game. Again, as everybody knows, I like Vikings, so I like that as a theme. And I feel like this one does a pretty good job of being a worker placement game that gives you the feeling of the theme, as well as you are slowly working your way up the river to attack bigger and harder places to get more plunder and more victory points. So I thought it did a really good job of doing that theme as well. And it also has the added benefit of, I know there's another game in this series of Raiders that I'm also looking forward to playing at some point. And I believe that's Raiders of Scythia. And so I'm looking forward to playing that one also. So it's a Shem Phillips game, and it's fantastic. So that is my game that I want to talk about right now.
Yeah, that's one of my top worker placement games ever made.
Yep.
Raiders of Scythia is better.
That's what you keep telling me. I gotta play it.
But it's because it took all the expansions from Raiders of the North Sea, distilled it down into what made them all awesome,
Okay.
and put it into a base game.
But then got rid of the Viking theme.
They did get rid of the Viking theme. So the Viking theme's really cool. It's one of the few games I think the expansions are really good.
Okay.
And help the game. A lot of expansions for games are just
right.
Or why, or they end up causing more problems than keeping them in. But that's not the case for that one. Also, don't buy the Target version of Raiders of the North Sea.
Yes, we haven't talked about that yet. We both were at Target one day and saw it there, and we're looking at the back and we're like, it's a cheaper version of the game for sure, but there's a reason it's a cheaper version of the game. It's not the one that I want for sure on my shelf.
Yeah,
it's Raiders of the North Sea, the Viking edition, which makes it sound cooler.
Yeah, because there's Viking in it.
Yeah, but not quite.
No. It's more like the Vikings Pauper edition.
Yeah, there you go. What changes did they put into the Target edition?
They removed some of the bits. So instead of I think of the wood bits, they're cardboard now, and they printed some of the stuff on the board. It's just sort of like once you play Raiders of the North Sea, it's like
Well, and it's one of those things like the base version of the original version of the game is not all that much more expensive.
No, I think it's like 50 full price.
Right. And so this is like maybe 35.
Yeah,
so they took a little bit off. But I would rather pay that full price and get the cooler bits and bobs that came with the base game. So, I'm sure there's some people out there who they don't care what their pieces look like. They just want to play the game. And if that's the case, then sure, go to Target, pick it up for cheaper. But for me, I'd rather have the cooler bits and bobs that came with the original edition. So, yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump straight to Evan. Evan, hurry up. What's your answer? No, I'm kidding. Just go ahead.
So the next one here that is on my wish list is My Father's Work. So in this game, you are returning to your family estate, and you find in a hidden room all these experiments that happened at one point, and you discover a journal and find out that he was a mad scientist, and you determine that you must continue his work. So you go through and you were completing mad scientist work. You also must appease the townsfolk so they don't angry pitchfork and torch you. It is an app-driven narrative game, and it is played over 3 generations. So what you complete in one generation, your progeny then will take up and continue on from there, which is really cool for the fact that not everything that you did in your one generation will carry over, because things will degrade from your experimentations. Also in that, there's 3 different stories that you can do within that, and it just looks so really cool. The artwork looks really awesome. The bips and bops that are in there are phenomenal. The only things that I see that are negative about it, the app isn't 100% done, which is the downside to it. It's not full. There's not all the audio in there yet that is going to be. So you're going to lose out a little bit there, but it's functional as it is. And it just looks really awesome, really cool. And I really, really want to play it and get it and enjoy it and do mad scientist work.
Yeah, the art on it's amazing. The component quality looks through the roof for it. It just, yeah, this looks amazing game.
Yeah, it's area control. It's got hand manipulation, engine building. Like, it's got all the really cool pieces that we all like, all in one game. Like, yeah,
I love the theme too.
Yeah.
So
This has
I
got a
hadn't heard
very
anything about this one.
macabre
Yeah.
to like the game. It looks like a horror piece.
Yep. Looks very gothic horror.
Nathan
sure.
would approve.
Maybe it needs to be a little bit more heavy metal. Like more
No.
core.
This one looks really, really solid. I'm glad you mentioned it because I had not heard
Yeah.
anything about this one.
Yeah, I mean, from the looks of it, there is a lot of heavy metal and lightning and conduits and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, it looks like an amazing game. Like I said, that I think if you end up getting that, I would 100% play it. I think it'd be cool. All right,
One
so my wish list game is going to be I'm going to go up to the ones I want the most, and this one's the next one up, and this is going to, I got Lords of Hellas. Thank you, Nathan. Got that game, so I'm super excited to play that one. Really nice area control style game with multiple different ways of winning, building up the monuments or doing other things. So I want to give that a try. If I like that one a lot, one of the games that I want to look at is Lords of Ragnarok, which came after Lords of Hellas. Its Kickstarter ended a little while ago, and I don't think it's actually out yet, but I didn't double check. So I don't believe that's fulfilled, but it has the Viking theme. And when I was looking it up, some of the things that people didn't like from Lords of Hellas, they cleaned up with Lords of Ragnarok, and they said it was perfect with that. So I'm really excited about playing Lords of Hellas, getting into that because I like Greek mythology. And if I really like it, I'm going to keep that game forever, and I'll probably get Lords of Ragnarok 2, sort of what I did with Eric M. Lang's games, first mention. So I really like the artwork. I really like the idea of having like these mechanical gods from space, or what we attribute them to God with their super high tech. And I think that's a really cool idea, a really cool game. And that's my wish list game.
Well, my next wish list game doesn't exist yet. Which, because let's face it, if it did, it'd probably be already on the shelf. And that's Ark Nova Aquarius. So this is the first expansion for Ark Nova. I really do like Ark Nova, and this one, obviously, you can tell by the title, it adds marine animals. So in Ark Nova, you're building a zoo, and you're trying to increase your appeal of zoo, as well as trying to fund nature preserves and naturalist projects. And it's a really solid hand management game where you're trying to build combos, but their deck is big enough you can't really predict what combos you have. You have to work with what you have and see how that works with what you already played. Now, the main concern with an expansion like this and a game like this is you already have this massive deck of cards, and you're adding even more cards to it. So my main concern would be, it seems like it could be entirely possible to play a game with it when you've added the expansion and never see an expansion card come out. So I might take the attack that I've seen some other people do, where the first time I play through, kind of put all the new cards in the first half of the deck. But we'll see. I'm very excited to try this out. I have a little bit of trepidation, but I'm sure it'll still, even if it is slightly flawed in that regard, I'm sure it'll be still phenomenal.
Yeah, it started turning into Terraforming Mars, where you have this giant stack, and you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know how to shuffle that. I'm just gonna knock it on the floor, and then when we pick it up, it's shuffled.
Just make sure nobody's under it when you knock it down, because
Yeah,
you
'cause
might
they
crush
probably
them.
kill them. All right, so that's a good pick. I just got Arc Nova. I actually never got to play Arc Nova when we were up visiting my brother. My daughters got to play it, and they loved it. So I'm looking forward to playing that in the future. It looks amazing. I like that style of game. So yeah, it's cool.
And we did a playthrough on the channel when you weren't there.
I know you guys
Yeah.
are awful.
Yeah, I think I've played it now like 4 times.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous now.
Yeah, I've done like 1 learning, then like 2 teaching, and then the one I think we did on the channel. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I got to catch up. So Dan, what is your wish list game?
All right. Well, the next game I'm going to mention is actually a relatively new to me game. Technically, this game is not yet released. In matter of fact, I think it's finishing on Kickstarter today, the day of this recording. And that's Tiny Epic Crimes. That's right. They did a Tiny Epic game with a deduction element. And like the theme / setting of the game is like 1920s noir detective story. And of course, I don't know the full details of exactly how this mechanical system works. I haven't looked at any like rule book, but like they use like the red film that you saw in like toys in the 80s to like read the secret code, right? They use that.
That looks awesome. I'm really excited about that one. I'm wondering if they put it on Tabletop Simulator. They did that a couple times while I was on Kickstarter for some of them. So if we do that, we could maybe just play it. I've at this point, you've got me addicted to Tiny Epic games. I've played every single one that has been released. So
Every one of them?
Every single one.
Oh my
played all of
goodness.
them. I did a top 10 Tiny Epic games
Wow.
video that you could check out. But yeah,
I'm sorry. How many are there?
I believe at
I
this
don't
point
know.
there's 13 with Crimes.
Okay, there's 13 with Crimes. Okay.
Yeah. So at the time of the top 10, I just knocked off one because Tiny Epic Vikings is not out yet, and I haven't got to play that one yet. And Tiny Epic Crimes obviously is finishing up on Kickstarter, but I'm super excited about.
I haven't played any of the Tiny Epic games yet.
Yeah, I think some of them you're gonna really love. So and most of them are 60 minutes or under.
Nice. Okay.
So they're not too bad. Some of them can be a little longer, but Tiny Epic Vikings, I'm really excited about. I think that's gonna be.
It looks good.
Yeah. And then did you back that one, Dan? Did you back Tiny Epic Vikings?
So I didn't. I
Okay.
signed up to get notifications for the campaign because I figured I would sit and waffle on it. As of today, which is the last day of the campaign actually being live on Kickstarter, I still haven't backed it. I honestly probably won't, and probably just will catch it retail. Just things are crazy in my life right now, and I don't need to worry about someone else, basically.
And there's not too much difference between the deluxe version and the non-deluxe version. I believe most of the time you just get an expansion with it, like a mini
micro expansion. Yeah.
So and most of the micro expansions, I love the base game of Tiny Epic when I play the games, and the micros just like now when they do a full expansion in another box, those seem to be pretty good. But the micro expansions, most of them I can take them or leave them. I don't know if you found one of the Tiny Epics you like the micro expansion on a lot, where you're like, I have to play with it.
You know what? I have mostly deluxe versions of the Tiny Epics that have remained in my collection, and I don't think I've ever broken into those micro expansions. I don't think I've ever gotten them to the table. I feel like the base game is a solid enough experience for all of them.
Yeah, the only one the only one out of all of them that I was like, this one's pretty solid, was the Lanterns expansion for Tiny Epic Tactics. I did like that. It just added a little extra strategy to the game because I think it needed a little bit more oomph, and I gave it. So that was it.
I think for some of their like earlier titles, like Defenders, for example, the extra content was just like more like hero cards. I think that was the true for Western as well. They just had the big like individual player power cards. For those games, I just, shuffled those in and just kind of ignored them. They're just
Yeah,
like, in the mix.
Yeah, they don't matter that much. In the overall scheme, they don't change anything. Yeah, I think they all came with boss cards, and they all came with like more, like the Tiny Epic Western, I think came with more of the buildings. A couple more buildings. I can't remember. Oh, you also got that weird die if you had the deluxe version, the bullet die. But anyway, so what is, we're at John. What is John's wish list game?
Well, mine are in no particular order. So I was thinking of another one that I did get the chance to play, and I really liked the theme and the kind of, it was John Company. And that one was, I just really enjoyed the kind of back and forth. There's only a little bit of randomness to it. A lot of the information's out there, and it's kind of push your luck. I mean, the randomness, you know that you're taking a risk when you're taking a risk. And it's just kind of trying to jockey for position so you can, set up your family members, but there's rules against, I'm trying to think of the word for installing your family members in for stuff.
Nepotism.
Nepotism. There it is.
got
That's the word. Yes. But thing is, though, one of the things you can get is you can get, cards, for doing things as part of trade that, all right, yep, I'll let you have nepotism in this case, and I won't be able to say no to it, kind of things. So I mean, the whole, like there's different aspects for going for power and influence on what's happening with the company. And I just really like the kind of the different dynamics. You can kind of, focus on different areas, but you can't, and then somebody can, everything, is connected together. I just really enjoyed it. I only played the short version. I would love to, be able to play it again and play like the long, the full 9 rounds, I think it was. So,
John, did you have your experience with this most recent 2022 second
so
edition?
the second printing. Yeah, it's definitely a streamlined version of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have said John Company, the second printing, but yes.
This is just another one of those games that I feel like John's had this multiple times recently, where he mentions a game that is about a very specific thing, and I'm just like, I never would have thought about somebody making a game based on this topic and or theme, specifically. So
like the East India Company.
Yeah, yep. It's very, very specific and interesting, and not something that I would have ever thought of.
An East India Company game would be really cool.
So
there's a lot you could do with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's, again, that's what it is. So that's just really interesting.
Yep. So how about you, Peter? What is your wish list game?
So for my next one, and I feel like we've been talking a little bit about these, and I know Nathan had one already on his list, but his isn't available yet, so he can't actually get his, and that is expansions. And for me, it is an expansion to it's probably my most played game, I think, at this point. I think it's my most played game. And listeners who have, people who have watched this show before will know I love a great 2-player game, and you're going to see that show up a lot on my wish list. And this one is Seven Wonders Duel, and I would like the 2 expansions for this game. I've played both expansions. I've played, so the first one is Pantheon. It's the older expansion that they added, and then the newest expansion is Agora. Pantheon takes Seven Wonders Duel, which is a 2-player game where everyone is drafting cards from the board to put together their best city, and earn the most points and build their wonders. Pantheon adds in gods and some specific powers that you can get from these different gods. Each one kind of leans its way into one of the ways of playing the game. So you get like the god Mars, and it's going to lean into the warfare track. And so there are those added aspects with Pantheon, which I really enjoyed. And it was also a way of adding in the game, you're pulling from the cards that are on the board. And so you start to realize, okay, well, if they take this, then I'm going to have to take that, and vice versa. But Pantheon gives you a way to go outside of that, drawing from the table and playing other powers. So it kind of throws off that back and forth that you have from the base game, which does start to make Seven Wonders Duel feel a little predictable after you've played it a whole bunch. So giving you this aspect of this way to go outside of that and start pulling, skipping the cards there and playing other abilities, I thought was really fun. Agora adds the Roman Senate to the game and introduces a mechanic that I really liked, which was conspiracy cards and senator cards. And then there's influence cubes that are added to the board. So you have different chambers of the Senate, and you want to gain influence, the most influence in these chambers. So it adds another winning condition as well to the game. If somebody can get I can't remember exactly how much influence it is, but if you get the most influence in a certain amount of the chambers, then you can also win the game. I have played the game with both expansions at the same time, and it is too much. It takes what is a really great game by itself to what is really cool and really great game, I think, with either of the expansions. But with both expansions, it becomes way too much. I played it at least, I think, 3 or 4 times with both of the expansions included. And at that point, like James was saying, with some of the expansions, sometimes it just makes it too hefty or awkward. And I feel like with either one of these expansions, you take a good game and make it a great game. But with both expansions, you just make it so I want both expansions because I think they both add something great to a game that I already really enjoy. I just won't be playing them both at the same time. But it's a fun game. I like it to introduce new players to the hobby. And then once they start to understand the game, I want to be able to add in the expansions to it for them. So I've played them. I enjoy them. I want to own them physically so that I can use them to entice more people into this wonderful hobby of ours. So yeah, that is, again, Seven Wonders Duel expansions, Pantheon and Agora.
Yeah, those both sound awesome. I like the Pantheon one a lot, but I haven't played the Agora one.
Pantheon, I think, is my favorite because it doesn't get, Agora is right on the edge of almost being too much.
Okay.
I think it's really great. I really like it, but it does start to get a little noodly, where Pantheon doesn't get noodly at all. It just adds a great aspect to a good game.
Yep, I agree. Wow, I mean, with Pantheon.
Yeah.
All right. So, Evan, what's your wishiest wish game?
So next up, this game just finished on Kickstarter not that long ago. It's in wave 1 of shipment, and wave 2 is coming soon, but that is ISS Vanguard. So that game, to boil it way down, it is a good take of Mass Effect into a board game. So it's a cooperative game where you are all working different sections of the ship. You have to go out, player choices, lots of narratives, lots of interaction between each character into the game. There's all sorts of, like, you're going to go through story encounters, and they pose them as like story or narrative driven, like action sequences of you talking with the other people, and you're going to have to make decisions that will affect the entire playthrough that you do. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. So this game is very much up my alley. I'm very sad that I missed out on the Kickstarter for it, and I hope to try and get a copy of it one day here in the future. It's got some really awesome miniatures, tons and tons and tons of cards in it because a lot of the things are card driven to the game, and it looks really cool. And for how big the game is, it's supposed to be only play in like an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that's another really cool thing with it.
What's the name of this again?
ISS Vanguard.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on that.
This was
Yeah,
one
just-
that was on my list of things to talk about, so I can like knock that off my list. Talk about something else.
Congratulations, Evan. I've added that to my notes file. I will now research that game. You had me sold at Mass Effect. Well, half sold.
Yeah, it looks really awesome. I see a couple copies of it pop up on buy sell groups. That's how I know like where it's like only part of the main game. The main game and a couple of the expansions that they promised are out, and a bunch more is shipping in Wave 2, which is down in the future. You can still get into late pledging for it right now, so you can still get a copy of it without paying the astronomical uptick for the secondary market. But I haven't seen when Wave 2 is shipping, so you might be waiting a little while.
Yeah, looks. It's one of the ones I looked at a little while ago, and it looks amazing. So if you end up getting a copy, I will 100% want to be playing that.
Yep. I mean, I'm a sucker for sci-fi and cyberpunk, so.
Yep. So my next one, I've had it. I believe it was on my last year's list, and it's still there, and I still need to get it. And that is Kemet Blood and Sand. I really like Kemet, and I haven't got a copy of it yet. It's, I think, one of the best area control games out there. It's definitely very fast, very fun. I know Nathan isn't the biggest fan of it, or hasn't been, but I really like it. And I think it's a great Egyptian themed, sort of like mythological themed but fighting game.
Well, I would say I only got to play this game, the original game once, so I mean I'm still somewhat holding judgment on it based on that. But also, Blood and Sand does look like it addressed a lot of the things I thought were a little weak on the game. For the one of the big things is like when I played the original game, the cool minis didn't even show up in the game. Nobody really got any of these cool beasts and monsters.
That's just a shame.
That
shame.
sucks. That's like the reason you wanted to play, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it looks like in Blood and Sand they're out like really quickly.
Yeah, I like running monsters around the board, being like, killing everybody. So yes, that's gonna be good. All right, Nathan, what's your wish game?
Oh, back to me. So I'm gonna go morbid with this one. Everybody is shocked. So the Bloody Inn. I've talked about this game a couple of times before. It is a game that's not terribly easy to find. Basically, in this game, you are a murderer who owns an inn. You need to kill your guests and hide the bodies and make sure when the police come by, there is nothing for them to see. It's basically it's a hand management economic game with a really interesting theme.
So it says no one visit Nathan.
Yeah, right? Seriously.
Well, just don't visit his hotel and
Yeah.
or inn.
Nathan's like, I'm starting a hotel. I'm like, that's great. I'm staying here.
I don't have a dirt floor in my basement, so I think you're safe.
Oh, that is true.
That you know of.
I mean, there is this hatch here, but never mind.
Oh my.
Is that a telltale heart? Is it
I'm under the
Edie?
floorboards. All right. Moving on quickly. Dan, what you got?
Okay. The next one I will mention is I think technically this game is out. I don't have it yet though. But I'll be getting it in the mail at some future point. Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is a John Clare game from AEG Games. So if you don't know what else John Clare does, this means it's a card crafting game. So it that includes some it's a deck building mechanic where you slide like cards that are into sleeves, and the cards only have like a top, middle, or bottom segment. So like, and then they combine together to make a super card, basically. But like the theme is pirates. So I was like, oh, John Clare, pirates, sure. So yeah, that was made me initially interested in the game, and then for some reason it wasn't like available through my regular channels as a retailer. So I ended up ordering it from the company through their, I think their second or third Kickstarter campaign. I don't remember what. I know there was expansion content involved in that campaign, and I don't remember if I ordered it or not, but you know, it's coming eventually.
That's gonna be really cool. So, all right. So, John, what's your wish list game?
Well, I was thinking back to a game I played earlier in the year. So this one might be another themed game that somebody might not have expected. Carnegie.
Hey, I want to play this one.
Yeah, have you seen this one, Peter?
I
Why?
have.
Why would you want? Why?
Why would I be interested in that?
Why?
Yes, as a librarian and somebody who lives, near Pittsburgh, and Carnegie comes up a lot, and I thought this one looked really interesting.
Yeah, I played it. I mean, I remember the turn structure being really interesting because like you're kind of, you're taking action. You only have 20 actions that you take the entire game, but other players follow your actions. So you get a little bit more than just that for the whole game. But it's kind of, you need to figure out what to pick. So you benefit more. You might sometimes like not picking the strongest action might be the best choice. And you have your own company that you're developing. So you're adding different departments in it. And you have to move, like there's like I remember 4 different main actions. One of them is like HR, which is I think you remember you're using to move your people around, and moving them, kind of exhaust them, and then to activate them on the different action spaces, you have to pay for training them, which is listed underneath the action space that you put them to. And so it was just kind of, I remember it being this kind of interesting, like the board also was really nice, because like there's different areas that you can expand, and it actually slides out from behind the board to reveal, like the additional, resources. So I mean, the game I remember looking aesthetically pleasing, and I remember it being a lot of fun to play. But again, I'm remembering to, like early 2022, and that's all I haze at this point now.
In the before times.
Yes.
Yeah, that one sounds interesting. I bet you
Yeah.
Peter will play.
That is one that if it comes to the table, I will definitely play it. Getting on my wish list is something like I feel like I have to play it to know that I'm going to like it before I really want to get it. And so this one, though, if I play it and I enjoy it, it's definitely going on my list because again, aesthetically, it looks great. I like I like also the art, and I like the color choices, the color palette that they went with. And then again, the theme of Carnegie, not that I know if he was a good person or not, but his endowment to creating the public library, like so many public libraries that have his name. I think the game description even states that somewhere around 2,500 libraries have his name associated with it. Is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a area control element too that I remember too a little bit, or at least kind of, you're trying to build combos and chains between a map as well. So it's more than just your tableau and the different actions that you have to worry about, but there's also the, the shipping chains and production. So yeah, you're basically producing goods, and you're also sending people out on missions, I think is what they called them. But yeah, there's kind of a lot of different, things that happen. And then you also have to worry about when you're building out your company, where you're placing it in your company. Because, if you wind up having to send people out from it, you don't want them to be too far away, because then, it'll take a long time to get somebody back into that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a really cool game, but it also made me think of another one that I think Peter would want to look into if he hasn't already, which is Gutenberg, which is
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
it's a new game about like the first printing press, and you have to like gather letters, I believe, to like build your printing press and be able to print some books. But I mean, it looks really cool and looks really exciting. I am just concerned about the fact that it's Portal Games, and I heard the real book is not great.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it would be on my wish list.
I will definitely be looking into that one. I have not heard anything about it, but yeah, printing press, the Gutenberg Bible, all those cool things. So definitely something I'd want to check out.
Well, a good segue is, what's your next wish list game, Peter?
So again, I said I was going to kind of have a little bit of a theme here. It was not intentional, but it is what I get the chance to play the most, and that's another 2-player game. This is one that I played most recently with James, and he had to be rude and beat me at it. And that is Watergate. I've talked about it a few times before here on the channel. One player is taking on the role of the Washington Post, the journalist, and they are trying to bring down the Nixon administration. And it is just a really taut tug of war. The cards that you're playing, in order, you get cards, and you can usually you do one of two things on the card. You're either going to be moving the token. I'm the initiative token. You're going to either be moving the initiative token
or momentum.
Or the momentum token. You're going to be moving these things back and forth as you play your cards, or you're going to be using the cards for their powers that they have. And some of these powers are they feel almost game breaking. They're single use cards. You're going to get rid of them after that, but you can pretty much just grab the momentum token and it's yours. The Nixon administration wants to be the first one. I think it's to 5 momentum on their card. And if they get to 5, then they win the game. The Washington Post wants to get some of these different people who are around the outside of the board and initialize them and get them on their side, and then connect them with these differing colored clues and things that they're going to get them to connect to the Nixon administration. And if you can get 2 of them to the administration, then you win the game as well. And the more momentum that the Washington Post journalists get, they have some extra abilities that they gain by getting there, which James utilized to great effect. Not even meaning to. He didn't even realize what power was coming up. He just
I did it with a brilliant move. I won with a brilliant move.
A brilliant move that he did not see coming.
It's like, oh wait, I won. Oh, I crushed you.
But yeah, so
watching them play, I heard James say multiple times, "I'm going to win this game, but not on this turn."
But not on this turn. And yeah, it's a game that I've now played quite a few times, enough to know that I like it a lot. I don't think I'm going to get tired of it anytime soon. Very simple to teach. Not long to play. It plays anywhere in that 30 to 60 minute range, which is I think a good sweet spot for a 2-player game. Which I'm going to contradict that statement on my next game. And that's what I'm going to lead you into for a little hint for my next game. But that's where I'm going to stop. Watergate. It's fantastic. It's really good. If you like 2-player, if you like tug of war, it's a good one.
All right, Evan, what you got?
All right. So this next one here, I do not have yet. It just finished up on Kickstarter, which I backed, and that is Unconscious Mind. So Unconscious Mind is a beautiful, beautiful looking game from Fantasia Games. So in Unconscious Mind, it's the early 1900s, and you're working in the cutting edge of psychoanalysis, working along with the alongside people such as Sigmund Freud. And this game has worker placement, has engine building, has multiple rondels, has programmable actions with it. And you're going to go in, you need to establish a practice, you got to grow your clientele. You're going to go through this beautiful art and dream interpretations based off of that. One cool thing, because we interviewed one of the designers, Johnny Pack, and he said that through the design, they actually put an open poll and said, people tell us some of your dreams, and they took those dreams and then incorporated them into the game. They got two real good artists that actually have different art styles and combine them together, which is, I think, just makes it just pop completely with the art style in this game. And it just looks phenomenal. And I cannot wait to get my copy of this.
Yeah, I love how they melded the two artists on even the cover's amazing. That's two artists that did that one piece. So really, really amazing.
That's really cool. I'm looking at the cover right now. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, when we interviewed Johnny, he said that like they got the artists together and they like almost drew a line. It's like, you draw up to this point and then the other person draw to this point, and then once they got that together, they talked together how they can put that middle blending together so it would just like fit seamlessly. And that art style is like just all over this game, and it just looks so good.
Yeah, the cards look awesome. The player boards look really nice. Now it looks like it's got a lot to it. Like, I mean, it's going to take a decent sized table to hold it all. James's table at his house would probably do well, but there's a lot to this game.
Yeah, there looks like there's a lot to it. Having played a couple of Johnny Pack's games, they have a lot going on in them, but overall they play very well. James actually has one of his right now that's mine that he's going through and reviewing. Endless Winter.
May or may not get it right. No, I'm kidding.
And that's one of those ones too that it has a lot going on and takes up a lot of space, but it seems like it plays really easily and it's like not over the top. Can you confirm that, James? Or
yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be all that much of a teach to get into it. It's a medium weight game. I think all the expansions minus the neoprene mat you got with the deluxe edition stuff will fit into the base game box,
which is rare.
Yeah, and it has a really nice insert built to handle that. So I think that was really cool. Overall, the art on it's amazing. The component quality is amazing. The game, even if you don't get the deluxe stuff, it looks awesome.
So, one thing about Unconscious Minds, you talked about it does, from what I hear, it is a pretty heavy game. And for some reason, when I look at the cover, my first thought was, oh, it should be a light game. And I'm not the only one that thinks this. I don't know why. It's just maybe something happening in my unconscious mind triggering.
I think you're thinking Dixit. You're like, oh, Dixit cards. No.
It kind of does bring up that in a more, I think, a higher quality.
More like Mysterium.
Oh, Mysterium's a little better. I don't know.
Yeah, when I saw the cards, it made me think Mysterium first.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be why, but it is not a light game.
No. Well, it's not super heavy either, but yeah. Supposed to be medium.
Yeah.
I haven't played it though, so who knows? But yeah.
Medium in weight, heavy and fun.
There you go.
Well, this is one that I can't wait for Evan to get it so that I can play it.
Yeah, exactly. So my next game is my second to last game. This is my second highest game that I want to get, and the one I want is above it, which might surprise some people, but my second one is Dune Imperium Immortality. I'm really excited about it. I really like the additional stuff that's adding on there to the Dune Imperium game. It'll be my second expansion that I have for it. It's really getting into the point where Champions of Midgard have the same thing. You keep adding this stuff. You keep adding this stuff. I want a new board. Shut up, Nathan. Shut up, Nathan.
We
Uh,
can't wait to get our copy. Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it has a really cool what do they call it, Nathan, in it? They had it's a gene splicing or something where you just basically can take two cards and play them combined, which I thought was a really cool idea. I really want to see how that plays into the game. Really excited about the more choices that you can have in the game. I really liked how the expansion sort of brought in some of, I think it was the triangle options and made them a little better because they were meh. And I'm looking forward to see how they round out the game more with this and give you more avenues of winning.
No, I was gonna say more avenues of losing because I
Or
can't
losing,
win this.
or
I can't
losing.
win this game. As much as I love this game, I cannot win it. So more ways for James to beat me at this game.
This is it's just one of those games that you can be vicious in, and I'm like,
Yes.
I have no mercy in that game.
No, it's so fun.
I will not let you go. I'm not. It's a game. I'm supposed to be evil, so I am in that game.
Yep.
Yeah, you can have genetic innovation. I don't know if
Genetic
they
innovation.
at some point used the gene splicing term, but at least on the back of it, they talk about
sure.
genetic innovation, whatever.
But yeah, love Dune Imperium. Think it's one of the best board and market row style games there is.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
James
Dune
wants
Imperium
more.
Immortality.
James wants more Dune. Yep. We're Dune Imperium.
More Dune Imperium. And there'll be a point where I'll be like, because
It'll
as of
happen
right
eventually,
now-
but not yet.
not yet. And if they do a new board, breathe new life into it. Go on. All right, Nathan, what's yours?
So I am going to talk again about a game that is available, but I haven't pulled the trigger on this for the exact reason why Peter might. It's because it's a 2-player game. Now, this game is called Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. So this, you're actually going through the historical events and you are trying to either be on the side of the alleged assassin and being their lawyer and basically pleading their defense, or on the opposite side and trying to show that they're guilty, and you're bringing forward evidence, and you are basically it's a combo building game, it sounds like, where it's just one-on-one trying to prove or disprove the guilt of the parties involved in the assassination. There's a similar game called Lawyer Up, but this is a game where not only it looks like a fun game, it looks like something you could actually learn a lot from. And I really want to play this with my father, who's a real big history buff.
Technically, this game, because I remember it has to deal with the female, and you are doing the trial just for her. And I couldn't
Yes.
remember her name, so I looked it up. It's Mary Surratt. And you're deciding which side are you playing on. You're trying to get her executed, or you're trying to get her set her free. Because I think she's the first woman. Yes, first woman to ever be executed for treason. Oh, yeah, spoiler, she dies. But anyway.
I was just totally giving away the history lesson, James. Of course, if it happened in the 1800s, I don't think it can.
I think
really be a spoiler
at
at this
that point, it's no longer a spoiler.
I'm pretty
Good.
sure.
Oh, you sure it's not too soon?
Eventually, the old stuff becomes new again. So
that's true,
yeah.
Yeah.
This one sounds interesting. I hadn't heard about it, but of course, 2-player intrigues me. It's a short play time, according to BGG, saying about 30 minutes, which is pretty short. But I'm looking over at the mechanisms in the game, and the very first thing listed, of course, it's in alphabetical order, but the first thing listed is deck, bag, and pool building, and I hate it. I'm so bad.
Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Wonderland. War. I'm so bad at deck, bag, and pool building. Like, I just can't pull the right thing out. And so it depends on how it's implemented in this game.
So I'll tell you that
whether
this is implemented. My understanding, it is implemented similarly to Seven Wonders Duel. It is a deck builder, but you have that layout where some of the cards you cannot see, and then when you take a card, you're revealing other cards that they could be available
Okay.
for the other person.
Oh, and their
Okay.
consent. Oh no, that is actually true. It does have the pyramid. It's a draw. I think it's a diamond shaped
Yeah.
thing where you're
Okay,
gonna be flipping
that-
them over.
that I
I
can-
didn't think there was a bag of any type in the game.
No,
Good,
it's not
okay.
bag. It's deck.
Well,
built.
well,
It's a
because
pull. It's a pull and push and pull game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says tug of war, but they lump deck, bag, and pool building together. And like deck building, sure, I like.
Yeah.
Bag and pool building, I'm not a big fan of. So I was just interested about the implementation. But yeah, if it's more a little bit like Seven Wonders Duel, then I'm still intrigued. So I'm definitely interested. If you end up getting it before me, I'll be interested to find out what you think.
Okay.
All right, so that leaves Dan. What you got?
Hey, sure. I can say at least one more. So newly added to my wish list, but slightly older title. Isle of Skye, Chef Tamed King. So I managed to play this like twice on Tabletop Simulator a while back, and I thought it was cool, but not quite cool enough, if you know what I mean. But like I recently took another look at it like within the last couple months, and I was like, you know what? It's a Fisher game. It should probably be in the collection just because of that. So I added it to my wish list. It's a tile laying game, and there's a decent variability in like the objectives. There's like 3 different objectives that score, or 4 different objectives that score at different points during the course of the game. So like they're more or less important during specific rounds. And then it's got a really cool like economy / bidding mechanism behind like the tiles in terms of, well, you're dealt 3 tiles, you have to axe one of them. The other 2 you set coins on. The other players get the opportunity to snipe your tiles by paying you the coins that you set on them before you get a chance to. If they don't buy one of your tiles, then you're forced to lose the coins that you set on it in order to keep it for yourself, sort of deal. So yeah, really, really interesting, like market mechanism in terms of the like tile acquisition.
That is probably one of my favorite parts of the game, is the acquisition of the tiles, because there's a little bit, like you said, there's a little bit of a struggle of, okay, I want to make this, if I want this tile, I want to make it so expensive that they aren't willing to pay it. But that stinks, because then I have to pay that cost for the tile. And so there's just that little bit of like personal tug of war that you're playing there about how are you going to pull that off. And then sometimes you still put it like way expensive and they still buy it. And you're like, why are you ruining my life right now?
Yeah, what do you call it? The interesting thing about that is it's almost like a draft mechanism, because
right.
like you can set a high price on a tile that's useful for you, and nobody looks twice at it because it's not useful to them at all. And you could have gotten away with putting something cheaper on it, right?
Yep.
Or vice versa. Like you see a really cheap tile and you're like, oh, I'll take that just to get a tile.
This is one that I've played, I want to say 3 or 4 times. I've never played it with more than 2 players though, and I'd really like to. I want to see how it plays with more people. I think it would be way better, and I already like it at 2-player. But I think it would be way better if you've only if like tile laying is something that you've done and you've only really ever done like Carcassonne as like your intro game. You want to step it up and try Isle of Skye. I think it's going to take a style of game that you might enjoy, but just open up the world to you a lot more, with a lot, again, the variability of the jobs or the round goals that you're going for, and the idea that those round goals change and merge throughout the game. I think I think it's a strong one, Dan. I mean, more than that, it's just Alexander Fisher. I think
Alexander Fisher burn.
I know. I mean, it's like, it's, yeah, you like him, so it makes it worth getting. But at the same time, I think it's just a solid game. I mean, it's not a new game. It's older. It's been around for a bit. But this is one that if you brought it to the table, I'd be super happy to play it with you.
Yeah. I agree with your assessment. Like I've only played it 2-player as well, but I feel like it would be so much more chaotic and interesting at like 3 or 4.
Yeah, especially the purchasing the tile parts. I don't know how that works with more players. I don't know if it just goes around. but I'm not 100% sure how that works with more players. So I've got to play it with more players to find out.
I'm trying to remember. I have not played it with 2 players. I've played it with more. I'm trying to remember exactly how it works. I think each person goes around and he has a chance to buy something from whoever they want. But
I was going to say,
wrong there.
I was going to
It's
say,
been a
I
while.
want a bidding mechanic. I want people to be like, no, I want to pay 3 for it. No, I'll pay 4 for it. I don't know. It probably doesn't play that way, but I think that'd be funny.
But yeah, I could see where it was pretty good. I thought with a bunch of players, I think it would have lost a little bit with 2 players, but I haven't played it myself with 2 player.
That was the one that NDC I kept seeing, and I kept pulling it down. I'm like, oh, and I always end up getting a different games. One of those days, it'll be like cart.
No, that's the day that you walk in and it's gone because I bought it already.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's happened.
I,
That has happened.
honestly, I don't think it's still on the shelf in my store right now.
Probably not.
Just because, like, we haven't done a lot of like non like core restocks. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Good choice, Dan.
All right. How about you, John? What is your wishiest game?
I don't. This one seems like almost a cop out because I don't think I'm ever going to get it.
Okay.
Because I know at least.
I mean, it's glory to
3
Rome.
people.
We can just get it off of Dan.
Yeah. I know 3 people who are getting it or have already gotten their copy. And that's Frosthaven.
Oh, it looks so good.
It is.
I haven't finished Gloomhaven and I want it. And I'm like, I need to finish Gloomhaven. What is wrong with me?
I still need to finish Gloomhaven too. Like we were like so close to the end, and then that was in the before times.
Yeah,
we just haven't had like
we need another before
stall.
times.
Yeah. But
so you're saying we need to have another pandemic so you can finish Gloomhaven?
No, that's what stopped us from finishing Gloomhaven.
What?
Yeah, But yeah, I mean, I saw Frosthaven. I mean, and also got the, just like when I was at PAX Unplugged, and I was there when he did the announcement. I think was it maybe East? I can't remember now. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the game looks great. And I took a look at a lot of the, the characters. They are, if you played the first Gloomhaven, like a lot of those like starter initial cards for each class, are kind of not that exciting, except for like a couple of them have like a card that shines through, like Mind Thief has the, the move and attack on the top half card, at least something a little bit different, like, flavor, and like the stun attack that he has, range attack that he has. There's a lot more of like interesting abilities in your first level cards in Frosthaven. From like the 4 classes that I saw when I was, kind of playing around with it there. I mean, it looks great, and and I'm a huge, huge fan for it. And also, I like Isaac is a really cool guy. Like I've gotten to hang out with him before. So, he's just a really nice guy, and I'm glad for her, happy to see him having all the success too. So, I mean,
yeah, I'm waiting for my copy to show up.
that's why I'm like, I mean, I could get it, but I'm like, I already know you, I know Matt, I know I know at least 3 people who have a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to finish Gloomhaven. I bought the expansion, which adds like 15 more hours. I have what's the other one called? I have Jaws of the Lion. I haven't finished that yet.
Yeah, I got mine over there that I got on sale. Yep.
Yeah, so like if I get Frosthaven, it'll just be I should just keep it in shrink as a punishment until I can get to it, is because getting my daughters to sit down and play 100 hours of a game is not happening.
Being adults to play 100 hours of a game can be a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had like a nice, like every 2 week schedule going on to play it. I mean, it helped that we were kind of playing other legacy games before Gloomhaven came out. I mean, we played like Risk Legacy. That was a lot of fun. Seafall, which naming the people in that one was a lot of fun.
Okay.
We had
That was
themes.
probably the funnest of the game.
That was the most fun. Like I had my my naming scheme was GI Joe characters. So
I loved Seafall actually, except for the legacy element.
it was
The
a
actual
little bit-
game I liked a lot.
there was a lot of things I liked about the game until about halfway through the campaign. And then that's like it just got too swingy.
Well, also towards the end of the game, I kind of gave up and looked up how it resolved and then I realized we would never have figured that out. We would never have finished the campaign.
Oh, we
That is
wound up
horrible.
liking into it. Yeah, I mean, it was just like it just happened. We're like, oh, okay, just because everybody just like, I mean, it was just every time like somebody would go searching for artifacts, they'd be getting artifacts, getting 4 points, and scoring for it. Every time I did it, I was like, oh, I lost money. Like I got hosed every time I tried doing it. And then like I had like invested early in colonies, and then I just wound up really not being a factor.
I hear it has
But-
nice pieces.
Yeah, it's almost there. It's like it just needed something else. But anyway, back on topic. Frosthaven looks great, and I definitely want to play that.
Yeah, I'd volunteer to play with you, but no. Just gotta get finished Gloomhaven, and that's way too much of a commitment to a campaign game. But all right, so that's back to Peter.
All right, so I did kind of tease a little bit this next one, saying that my last game, Watergate, 2-player tug of war, 30 to 60-minute game, and that kind of hit the sweet spot for the length of time for playing a 2-player game. And then this one knocks that one way to the side, that statement, and that is Twilight Struggle. So I have this game, but I have the digital edition, the digital adaptation that you can get on Steam, which I highly recommend. It streamlines the gameplay. You're going to play this game in a much quicker time frame if you play the digital adaptation. But how much I enjoy the game and love the game, I want to finally play it with the physical copy. I want to sit down. I want to spread out the world map. I want to hold the cards. So it says it plays 120 to 180 minutes. Nathan, shut up. Your collection is too large. He's just pointing at it right now. But it's a really, really interesting, again, and like it's something about myself that I wouldn't have expected, is how much I enjoy these historical event based games. Like I don't think I knew that I enjoyed history quite this much. But like I've loved getting to know more information through Watergate and information here through Twilight Struggle as you're playing post World War II, now Cold War, Soviet Union versus the United States, and this area control thing that happens. But again, this really interesting card driven decision game that you're playing, and the fact that everybody can lose if all of a sudden nuclear war happens, is just really, really interesting. Again, if you're thinking like, oh, this sounds cool, this idea of a 2-player tug of war game that's historically based, I would probably still say go Watergate first, just because it is much like Twilight Struggle, but just pared down to the bones, and is still a really solid game. But if you like that and you want to step it up a notch, then Twilight Struggle is the next place to go, even though it's an older game. But again, I really enjoy the game. I like the theme. There is definitely you get that tension as you are getting at the other player. And again, there's something about a really good 2-player game where you're just looking across the board at one person, and that one person is ruining your day. And you're doing everything you can to ruin theirs. This just does a really good job of that. And so I would highly recommend, if that sounds fun, to either pick up the physical copy if you can, because that's what I want to do, or at least pick up that digital adaptation, which has awesome sound effects, thrown in there as well. It streamlines the game to a quicker play time. But again, all the digital adaptation did for me was solidify that I want the physical copy. So that is why this one has made my wish list.
Yeah, this is a tense game.
Yeah, very tense.
You are invested the whole way through. What the other person is doing is really important to you.
Yep.
To the point where you're going to be tired at the end of this game. So this is not like a nice relaxing game.
No, it's a mentally exhausting game, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
It's absolutely phenomenal. The history they did with it is absolutely great because you can get into the rule book itself, cross-reference the cards, get a little bit more history because they put a little bit on the card, but then they put a little bit more into the rule book, which is really great. You can learn a lot about it there. The biggest downfall for the physical copy, it suffers the same problem that a lot of chit-based games have. One good sneeze ruins the game.
Yeah. That's good to know. I will not be playing this one when I have a cold.
I had a physical copy of it. I ended up selling it because I got the digital port, just because it is on the heavier end of how it plays, and a lot of the people that I at that time played heavier games with, they also got the digital port, so it was just easier to play it that way.
Yeah.
Now, did you have the deluxe version? Because the deluxe version, at least my deluxe version, I think the cardboard's a lot thicker.
I don't remember which version I had actually.
Is that they were really thin for the regular version, and then deluxe version, they're really big, thick chicks.
Okay, so that helps me know which one to try to find.
Well, I think the only one they sell right now is the deluxe.
Is the deluxe version? Okay, well then that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I had seen so far while I was searching, but that's good to know.
It's not like it doesn't fit the concept of a deluxe though. I mean, it's just thicker cardboard and stuff.
Yeah, it's not
but,
like wooden tokens and stuff.
Yeah, but
I did pick up the digital adaptation, so I gotta play it with each of you at some point.
Yeah, that's right. We were gonna have a tournament.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's make it happen.
I played it once. I'm sure that's all I need.
Christmas break.
There you go.
Christmas break.
All right, so Evan, what's your next wish list game?
So this wish list game is a wish list game on many different levels. So I take you back in our Wayback Machine here to the olden time of 1999.
All right, Evan's off the podcast or off the show. No kidding.
I was a young lad just starting high school, and there was a computer game that I got and completely fell in love with. Even to this day, still enjoy it from time to time. And that game is called Homeworld. So, Homeworld is getting a board game adaptation, and it is a wish list for me because I love that computer game so much. I would love to play the game, and there's also a wish. I hope that the company does not destroy this game.
Homeworld was a RTS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of details out about it. It was actually supposed to start on Kickstarter at the end of November. They pushed it to February now. They just didn't get enough copies out to reviewers yet, so there hasn't been a lot of traction with it yet, so they pushed it back to February. They showed some of the miniatures that are going to be in it. You're getting 101 miniatures, 10-part campaign that you get to play in, that it basically grows from very small skirmish all the way to very large battles with it. Solo mode, and I have so many fond memories of playing that game that I hope that I am not setting myself up for failure because this game might be terrible, which many IP games are, as we have discussed numerous times. But there are the rare gems and occasional games that are not that bad. So we shall see come February-ish what it looks like.
So this one, I think I need some clarification on because there are a number of games called Homeworlds.
I think it's
Homeworld
Homeworld Fleet Command.
Homeworld
Fleet
Fleet Command.
Okay, that's the one I thought it might be.
It's Modifius Entertainment.
Yep.
They did Thunderbirds, which wasn't bad.
They just did Skyrim, which seems to be pretty positively reviewed right now.
Oh, they did Skyrim? I didn't know they did Skyrim.
Yep.
I know they did Conan and Thunderbirds. And both of them were pretty popular. They did Elder Scrolls, yeah. So yeah, from the games they've done before in Fallout, Fallout Wasteland Warfare, Fallout in general looks like too. It's probably going to be good. Probably going to be massive game.
Yeah. I mean, it's already looking that way with just the amount of miniatures, and the mothership looks quite large. It's probably going to be pretty big, but until we get some more reviews out, I don't know.
Maybe we should contact them. Like, I know a guy that would be willing to review this.
As I told you, James, I would love you forever if you got me a copy of this to review.
All right, I'll work on it. I'm almost done with Kickstarter games, but if you're willing, you know. All right, so my final wish list game. So my final wish list game is going to be Star Wars Outer Rim Unfinished Business. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So Star Wars Outer Rim, awesome game, very thematic. Feels like Firefly distilled down into like a smaller scale thing, which is good and more focused. Really like the game, really like all the decisions you get to do through the game. And I really like all the different story beats you can create and create your own sort of like mystique in the game, or at least storyline. Like all the different options and all the different things you can do to gain your fame to win. And I love the ships. So can't wait. And I played the expansion one time. But I can't wait to get it and play it again and basically read over the rules and make sure, you know, and play it a couple times. And, you know, great open world style game. And Nathan's looking for his copy of it.
Can't find it. It's back there somewhere.
Quit rubbing it in.
Yeah. All right. So that's my last game. That is Star Wars Outer Rim Unfinished Business expansion. So what about you, Nathan?
So I'm going to talk one. I talked about this game a few times. I talked about it a long time back. It's been on my wish list for a while. It's not one I've seen around or widely available. It's called Cosmic Frog. This one was kind of a short blip that people were talking about it, then it just disappeared. But Cosmic Frog is a pure chaos game. You play as a giant interdimensional frog-like being that swallows universes and you have Satan powers, and you're like gobbling up the land, and you have to like I think you have to make combos in your belly, and you can be hit out of the universe into the ether, and then, you know, if you really kind of aren't doing too well, you could end up coming back as a different frog-like entity with all sorts of other new powers, and it's just pure chaos. It just sounds fun.
Come back as a cane toad or a common toad. Aw. No, that's not part of the game. I just making not has anything. I'd be funny if it did. You know, your giant cosmic frog bigger than a planet. Come back. You're now a tiny toad.
Phantasmal cosmic powers.
Exactly. So Dan, you're all good with your wish list, right?
That is correct. I am declaring myself done here at this point. There's a couple others that are technically still on my wish list, but I'm opting to discuss them briefly during the second segment when we cover what we did last year.
Okay, yep. All right. So, John, do you have any more wish lists?
I do. I mean, we already kind of covered it, so I'm not going to really cover it too much here, but I keep on trying to decide, do I want Arc Nova or not for myself? Because
And the answer is yes.
but I know so many people with it. That's the only
Oh, that's
reason why
true.
I haven't.
Have you played it?
I've played it. Yeah, well, we talked earlier. I've played it like 4 times now.
Oh, that's
so,
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So instead, I'm looking. There's a game that I saw earlier this year at Origins that I missed the Kickstarter for, and I'm still thinking about it. And that is what was it called again? The Stifling Dark. It's like a one versus many horror game themed. So basically, you play one person is one of many different horror, villains, and the other people are the investigators who are trying to escape. And you have a flashlight, basically, that's kind of, shows your line of sight that you have. You're trying to, typically they're trying to escape, get into a car, run away, what have you. And, and meanwhile, the bad guys are going around doing their own thing in the background, and, it's hidden movement. So it's kind of got like a little bit of that Scotland Yard vibe to it, which I enjoy that one, and Fury of Dracula, but, a little more of a horror theme. And if this game was actually out, this would have been on my Halloween list. But,
Sort of reminds me, which is weird, of Luigi's Mansion. If you ever played that game, where you're
yes,
the flashlight.
yeah, that flashlight mechanic,
Yeah.
like Luigi's Mansion mixed with Scotland Yard.
Yeah, there you go. The
With-
grown-up Mario, Luigi Mansion.
Yeah, it has like kind of, I know there's a few video games that have this, kind of the one versus many horror, enemy versus all the other players, and it's kind of that in a board game. So I mean, it looked really interesting, and I would really want to give it a try. That's why I kind of wanted it, but I mean, I haven't had to actually chance to play it. All I got to do was kind of chat with the the developer.
Well,
Well,
it looks pretty cool.
it looks interesting, but it's currently slated for 2024, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's a ways off.
All right. How about you, Peter? Do you have any more?
I do. I have one last one, and you just mentioned the expansion for it, but that is Star Wars Outer Rim. It is of the ones on my list, it is the one that I've played the most recently. I think it's maybe the only one on my list that is it's my only one on the list that's a 2022 play for me. Came out a couple of years ago, but for me, I played it this year and loved it. Nathan and I both have a special place in our hearts for Firefly, the board game. We both really enjoy it. But I think James is right that this kind of takes like all the best aspects of it and pares it down and makes it a better game. If you just want to get lost in the Firefly universe, I think Firefly is still a fun game to play. But I also really love the Star Wars universe, and this game is phenomenal. It does a really great job of giving you the you're going out and you're going taking out bounties, you're doing jobs across the universe. The upgrading of the ships is a lot of fun. I've only been able to play it once, but it has lived in my brain ever since, and I want to play it again. So I definitely would love to get a copy of this one and get my friends together and play for sure at the table.
Yep. Awesome game. You can watch our playthrough on that. We did a good playthrough, and good pick. How about you, Evan? Do you have any more?
So I have one more here that I'm going to mention, and I would be remiss not to mention some kind of miniature game out there.
No, edit.
Yeah.
So my wife and I have a very odd tradition of during the Christmas season, when we start to wrap Christmas presents for the children, we always put on one certain movie to do that to, but it is not a Christmas movie. It is a very bad 80s action film called Bloodsport. So watching it this year, I had the great idea of somehow putting together a miniature skirmish kumite. And how would I be able to do that? And I found an Osprey rule set that might allow me to do that. It is called a Fistful of Kung Fu. So the rule set is from the Osprey Publishing. It's their Blue Book series, which the rules are actually only 64 pages long. And a lot of that's a lot of extra fluff in there. The rules you probably can distill down to about 12 to 14 pages if it follows along with a lot of the blue books that they do, which I have a couple of them already. And the game style is into that Kung Fu action style game. So I think I might be able to do something and pull it off with access to 3D printing to do figures. And this has been in my brain for the last week and a half since we have done this and watched the movie. And I'm super excited about doing it.
So Evan's wish list is to make his own game based off of like a rule set that's out there. That is awesome. That's fun. I love it.
There are no rules.
Can't hear you, James.
You're muted, James.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. So Nathan, do you have any more wish list games? Or are you wished out?
I think that's all the ones I want to talk about today.
Okay. How about you, John?
Yep, I'm tapped out now.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Dan,
The keeper of the records.
the keeper of the
keeper of the records. All right. I have records. So we did this last year, folks, where we talked about our wish list games at the end of 2021. I have records for myself, James, Nathan, and Evan. So Peter and John, I'm sorry, you just get to sit there and mock the rest of us.
That's a pass, right? So it's
Yep.
good.
Evan, we'll start with you, I guess. I have for you on my list. So what we're looking at here is what happened to these games? Did you ever actually acquire them? Are they currently in your collection? Did you acquire them and pass them along already? You know, just to, you know, for continuity reasons. Evan, I have that you named Coloma,
Got it.
Reavers of Midgard,
Got it.
Nemesis,
Got it.
The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31,
Got it.
Shiver Me Timbers,
Trying to get it.
Wow, wow.
Final Frontiers, Merchant Cove,
Got it.
and I guess you pulled the last item last year, similar to your item this year. I have the CosCon Miniatures event as something you were looking forward to,
Which I did.
which you did. Happened.
I call that a win.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
that sounds like
that-
that sounds like a win to me.
yeah, if
I-
all you
Yeah, it
couldn't
sounds
get
like a
was Shiver
solid
Me
A-.
Timbers.
yeah,
Good
that
job.
sounds like a pretty clean sweep. Pretty clean sweep.
So based off of that, I'm spending $400 on campaign for North Africa. Great.
Yeah,
Wah,
yeah, you
wah,
got to keep the
wah.
streak going, Matt. Right?
Yep.
If you don't in 1 year, be prepared to be mocked a lot.
All right, Nathan, on your list, you had mentioned Glory to Rome.
Obviously, I don't got it. That's way too much money.
I, side note, tried to get Nathan a copy of this.
Shiver Me Timbers was on your list last year. You had mentioned Cosmic Frog last year, which was also on your list.
Oh my
this
gosh,
year.
Nathan, you're going down.
Ooh,
Um, You,
the
you had
anti-Evan.
mentioned- You had mentioned Sleeping Gods,
I got that one.
Dark Moon,
I got that one.
Unfathomable,
Got that one.
and Nemesis.
Played that one. Decided I don't want it.
Ah, okay. All right. I guess that's fair.
That's not too bad. I mean, 3, but so Cosmic Frog was on the list last year. It's on the list this year. Why didn't you get it?
Because I've not seen it anywhere.
Oh, because you can't find it. Okay, all right.
I haven't really looked terribly hard, but you know,
Well, then, I mean,
I
come on. Do you really
I
want this
buy-
game or not?
I buy too many games. It doesn't make sense for me to go out looking for them.
It
If I
does
see
if
one
it's
at a
made
good
it on
price,
your
I'll
wish
get it.
list twice. If it's made it on your wish list twice, you should
Yeah.
be looking hard for this game.
Although I did pre-order that Dune Imperium expansion. So I did go out of my way for
Seriously,
that.
okay, I'm starting to second guess how much you actually want this game.
Mhm.
Oh, Peter's called you
Yeah,
out.
I was gonna
Calling them
say,
out.
I was gonna say you had a B, but now it's definitely a B minus.
B- for
Oh
sure.
no! Oh no!
All right, let's see how James scores from the Peanut Gallery. James, last year you mentioned Mansions of Madness, the second edition, Suppressed Memories.
Yeah, probably never going to be able to get that.
Rex, The Final Days of the Empire.
I haven't robbed Nathan yet.
Libertalia.
I did. Yes, I did get that.
Yeah. Brian Boru, High King of Ireland.
No, I didn't get that one. That one's a good one. I want to get.
Okay. Dune Imperium Rise of Ix, I know you got because I supplied it for you. Nemesis was also on your list.
Didn't get that one either.
Didn't get that. What happened to Nemesis?
I don't know. I mean, I like Aliens, so that one might end up being one I pick up eventually.
Okay, fair enough. And now I have to mock
Nemesis.
myself, apparently. So last year I had mentioned Cloud Age, which is currently in my collection. Maracaibo Uprising, which is also in my collection, though really we haven't explored any of the content that it introduces except for the unique player powers. But that's still cool. The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, technically in my collection, still in shrink right now. I've had it for a few months and haven't gotten to it yet for some reason. Gaia Project, have that. I mentioned Shiver of the New Timbers last year. Technically, that is still on my wish list, though the hope that I might actually track down a company is slowly dwindling. We've already been over that. I had also mentioned last year Doom Imperium, the Rise of Ix expansion. I never acquired this one. I thought about it some more.
Helped a whole bunch of us get it. Why did?
Yeah. All of you guys bought my copies. I didn't have a copy left over for myself. After that happened, I thought about maybe tracking that myself down a copy, and I decided that Dune Imperium was awesome enough with just the base game that I wanted to enjoy it more in that mode before I added anything to it. I had mentioned Mombasa last year as a honorable mention. I did not pick up Mombasa, but I picked up Sky Mines, which is close enough in my book.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, half point.
Yeah, half point. And last year I mentioned Fortune and Glory, Temples and Treasures, Lair of the Spider Queen, which are both expansions for Fortune and Glory. I have a sad note to report about these items. These items do not actually exist, period. So like the company responsible for publishing this game brought some pieces and some mock-up art to a trade show, and everyone thought that a game was going to be produced. And thus far, no game has actually been produced.
Well, that's sad.
But
that counts as not getting it.
Those games, those items still exist in the BGG database, and technically they are still on my wish list. I have them ranked as 5. Please don't buy this for me because they just aren't. They don't exist. If they do ever actually come out, I will probably be one of the first people to grab them. But until that happens, or unless that happens, like it might not happen at this point, for all we know. So yeah, that one was a mistake from me. I had heard that these things were a thing, was excited about them, added to my wish list, and then discovered later that they were not actually a thing.
Well, I would say overall, you all tried pretty hard. Evan, by far,
Evan did best.
I would have to say Nathan did worse. Because I think he has no excuse that Cosmic Frog is not sitting on his shelf right now.
It's in my cart right now.
Oh no!
Yes, he has been peer pressured and mocked enough.
All right, guys, now it's time to put it on the record. How well do you think you will do? Give yourself a letter grade for their wish list that you have shared with the table on this session.
I'm
getting an A.
James thinks he's going to get an A.
Okay, but by saying A, are you thinking like you'll get?
I think I'm going to get all of them.
All the things.
All of them, and maybe missing one, but I think I'm gonna get all of them.
I think you're gonna get all of them.
So
Ragnarok,
4.5 out of
I don't
5.
know, but-
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a B for me, mainly because I think Campaign for North Africa is gonna be next to impossible, and Homeworld may or may not be out at that
Right.
by the time.
Might not be available.
If you back it, it counts.
Well, then it'll probably be an A- for me.
There you go. Because I mean,
Just
you paid
because of
for
North
it.
Africa, and we could excuse that because it's probably been out of print for years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 1974 or something like that. It's older than James.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna shoot for an A for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot for an A. There's one that might not end up happening. We'll see but I'm gonna shoot for all of them.
I probably won't do too well since a lot of mine were things that are like either not possible to get at a reasonable price or just difficult to find. But
Yeah, but
you
Cosmic
might fail on
Frogs, which is already
you might fail on
purchased.
Shiver Me Timbers again. That's
I was
for
gonna
sure.
say I felt like Nathan was definitely pie in the sky this year. I think it's gonna be pretty difficult.
although I
So
did
are we-
also find the Bloody End pretty inexpensively just now.
Yeah, there you go.
So
might have
Nathan's
just added
wiping
that
off
to-
his list right now.
He's on his way to there you go.
all the way to an A already.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
not susceptible to peer pressure. I don't know what you're talking about.
So are we
don't
going to
have
say
a
the
problem.
person that manages to get a copy of Shiver Me Timbers just automatically wins?
Oh, if somebody does,
yeah.
I mean, if someone manages to get a copy and it didn't go back to Kickstarter, that person wins. Absolutely.
what about John? How you gonna do, John?
I think B minus is what I'm going to go for. Because I mean, Frosthaven, I ain't getting that. I mean, I already got like 3 people I know who has that.
Mm.
I mean, if somebody gave me a copy, I would love it, and I would probably go and buy insert and everything for it. But yeah, no. Maybe if I would have thought about it and gotten it the Kickstarter, I would have gone for it. But the rest of them, I feel like, I mean, and then Stifling Dark is not even going to be out at all next
Right.
year. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
still going to be
Yeah.
out there. But I might have it. So I mean, I might even be like A minus.
Okay.
We'll see. It's going to be somewhere between that range.
I just found Shiver Me Timbers for $3. It's a book, not the board game, but
No.
How about you, Dan? You're
Well,
doing great stuff.
I guess I gave myself an easy time for next year since I only mentioned 4 games during this session. So I would be surprised if I didn't end up with at least 3 out of the 4. And that to me is like what, a B plus, right?
We'll go with B plus.
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I assume we're grading on a curve.
Yeah. So we're all good. So we're gonna do a rapid fire silly game. So I'm gonna explain the rules real quick. You only get to get 2 points and you win. Or someone else wins. Someone's gonna get 2 points. But this is gonna be a deviation from Wits and Wagers. I'm gonna ask a question. You're gonna say a number. Whoever I started with, the next person will state whether they think that person is under or over. If they believe the person is under, then they're going to give a new number. If they say the person is over and they're right, they get a point. If they keep on going, we're going to keep on going until someone gets a point. So basically, that's what it is. So I'll start with Nathan, so it gives you an idea how the game works. And the question is, in what year did the Cold War end, Nathan? In what year did the Cold War end?
stupid.
It's okay. It's going to get to Evan and he'll get it. Don't worry about it. Don't let it get to Evan. So you don't want to be over. Under still good. So you could say 1400.
No.
200 BC.
Oh wow, my history. 19 32. No,
Okay.
that's wrong. But
So John, do you think he's under or over?
He is under for the Cold War, you said, right? As in the thing that Reagan was involved with.
Yeah, so
as
the Cold
Star
War
Wars,
end.
I told
Yeah.
you, you're gonna make me look stupid.
I just wanted to throw that out there. I just want to make sure we were talking about the right Cold War.
All right, what about you, John? What do you think?
Let's see. I'm just trying to remember now my childhood and when they actually would say that it was over. Was it before or after MC Hammer was a thing?
It's odd that you connected that as an important
Yeah.
historical event,
Hey,
right?
that's like 1990. That is a huge crossover. It's a bridge between the 80s and 90s.
All
that's
right,
awesome.
okay.
So I'm gonna go with 1989.
All right. So Dan, do you believe he is under or over?
Oh, okay, hear you now.
I'm sorry. I believe that he is under.
Okay, so what year do you think it is?
Okay. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go +1, 1990.
Okay, Peter, is Dan under or over?
I believe Dan is over.
You would be correct. So Peter gets the first point. It is actually 1989.
Ah, wait, don't I get a point for getting it right? Come on.
Nope, I didn't say it was fair.
Half
All
a
right.
point?
So this one is for Evan. Evan, when did Margaret Thatcher become prime minister? So what year?
Let's see.
This is gonna make it.
I got my pop culture reference behind this one.
So the Falklands was then 1978.
All right, Nathan, is Evan under or over?
Wait, or am I next?
No, I'm going. You can't see the order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Nathan.
I hate dates. I was probably almost 20 before I knew what date Christmas was on. Let's see. I'll say he's over.
Okay.
I have no idea.
He actually is not right, so he doesn't get a point. But he's very close. He's 1979. All right.
Yep.
Let's make things a little easier here.
I'm fine. I don't know about you guys. That's
History.
All
What's
right.
that?
So yeah, so who gets the point there?
How-
Evan does
What's that?
then? So Evan gets the point there.
No, he wasn't right.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Oh,
not
wait,
giving
wait.
anyone a points.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you know what? I should give Evan a point, shouldn't I?
Yeah, because it was what 1978 is what he said.
Yeah. So he was.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be exact right. So Evan gets a point. You have swayed me.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, otherwise this is gonna be a very long, silly game.
Yeah, I don't want a long story again. All right, so here we go. What is the width? So not the short width, the long width of the Great Wall of China.
Oh. All right,
Who-
let's see here.
Who's this one too?
I believe it'd
This would be John. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see. And that's like the scale, right?
Needs to be miles.
Yep.
So
We
not
use
the
the
width,
same-
the length.
It says width, but they mean length.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm about to say, yeah, those. All right. Say 202 miles.
202 miles. Okay, Dan. Under or over?
I think that's too short.
Okay, what do you think it is?
I'll go 300.
Okay, Peter, under or over?
Over.
Okay, it's actually not. It's 13,171 miles.
Whoa.
So Dan gets a
Ooh.
point.
Dang, that is long.
That is
I
long.
way
But you
underdid
can't
that
see
one.
it from space.
Hey, yeah,
No.
you can.
Actually, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
we-
no, the Great Wall of China is one of the few human constructions that
No.
can
Well,
be seen from space.
It's actually wrong.
James
You
ran a
can't.
silly game that says that you actually can.
It's one of
So
those things that people believe that's not true.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Dan. I thought it was true too. So
Oh yeah, no,
All
I remember
right,
that like
this-
one of
this-
those debunk things.
This one should be super easy. So, Evan, how many points are in a compass?
A cheap compass or an expensive compass?
Any compass. How many points?
8.
Okay, Nathan, under or over?
He's spot on, I think. That's all. Wait, let me. Yeah, 8 is well. No. Well, depends. Well,
There's just numbers coming. My calculator. La, 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 la. Like calculus symbols coming down.
Mm-hmm.
16?
All right. John, under or over?
All right, I have to clarify. What are we declaring points? Because it's either
This is actually what is commonly denoted as the points of a compass. So this has
Okay.
been like the compass points forever. So
Ooh, all right. So I would say over then.
that is wrong. There's 32 points.
See, I was thinking of 16, but yeah. But I was like,
So-
it's either that or maybe they only count 4, I don't know. Like it depended upon what somebody was defining them as.
All
I was
right.
wanting to say
So Nathan
infinite.
got
So
a
really a
point.
standard compass
Yeah, they
goes
got the
north
point.
by north, northeast.
North by north by northeast. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I knew north by northeast.
Yeah, I knew that too.
Yeah. So that was that one. Let's see. Which one should we do here? All right. So in nanometers, what is the wavelength of red light? That's yours, Dan.
Oh, in nanometers. What is the
Mhm.
wavelength of random red light? 2. I don't know.
Someone might randomly win now. Let's find out.
Hmm.
All right. So you said 2.
2. Okay. Under or over, Peter?
Under.
Okay. What do you think it is?
I have no flipping clue.
Just give a number.
I'm gonna say 50.
50. Evan, under or over? This is Wits
Over?
and Wager style. Over. Heck no. It's 700.
Yeah, I was about to say it's 700. Yep. That one,
Yeah.
that's one of the few I knew there.
So Peter wins. Oh, Peter won on a ridiculous question.
On a very, very ridiculous game.
No more quizzes with years in them.
That's a
More
different-
questions with
that
years.
means
Everyone's gonna
more,
have
more
years
with
in it.
years. More with years. Absolutely.
So I take it you don't like the game timelines then.
No.
Oh man, I have like 3 or 4 versions of that timeline.
I think I have at
Actually,
least 2 or 3
I'm not
myself.
as bad at timeline because you don't actually have to know the years. You just need to know it relative to other things.
I guess it depends on what version of timeline too. Like the pop
Yeah.
culture one. Oh no, so bad. Or at least I'm so bad at it. All right, so that was it. That was our episode on Wishlist
Yeah.
Games. Hope
Everybody,
you guys,
tell us your wish lists.
yeah, definitely put them down in the comments below, and you can mock ours. That's perfectly fine. And tell us what you really, really like. What game have you always wanted? What's your Grail game? that you'd like to
Yeah.
have?
What's that grill game?
So you all have a.
And if anybody has a copy of Shiver Me Timbers that they don't want anymore,
We
You
will
can
buy
send
it.
it to any one of us.
You know what?
Except James.
You should let
Don't
me
send it to
buy it.
him.
Don't
It's
send
not
it to
even on my
James.
wish list.
I'll have like 2 here next year. Like, someone sent one.
If you want to see a bidding war,
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, you all have a good night.